What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Etheria restart video. Today I want to talk all about Rengokutsu, specifically the Inferno version. If you haven't tried this guy yet, it's going to be quite a doozy. This dude is an absolute menace, and today's video I want to talk all about him. I'm going to have two of my own builds, one without Lily and using Fuqiu, and then the other one with my standard sub 1 minute speed build. Just to be clear though, guys, all of the builds you're going to see in this video, I'm going to have two more included teams from my community to try and help you guys come up with different comps and things to try. But I want to make one thing extremely clear here, and that is this is the current hardest boss in the game, especially for farming, and there is no easy or cheap way to do it. So before anyone complains, before anyone says anything, even if I show you units, you know, things that don't include Lily, the alternatives to certain units like Kloss, just understand that it's still going to be very, very, very gear intensive, and you need to start using things like Bloodbath and heavy lattices. There's really no way around it for now until they nerf it, or maybe our gear just gets better from all the 2x events, but I want to make that extremely clear and just get that out of the way. So please, if you don't have the gear, if you don't have some of the lattices, just try to get to it eventually. This is the current hardest boss in the game, so you don't need to be clearing it right now, but you want to start planning ahead, especially because a lot of you guys are going to have to clear this. Can I even open it here? I hope so. Yeah, you're going to have to clear this 10 times for Inferno Rengo, and that's going to get you things like a very important gold lattice. So it is something you want to do. It is something you want to farm, especially as well, because the possible drops for the shells are extremely nice, especially for endgame PvP, endgame PvE. You have things like the Count, which is, you know, besides Romoka for one-shot comps, a lot of people are reaching for this because he has things like Bulwark on a DPS more centric shell. You have things like Fortissimo, which maybe isn't necessary, but I've seen some crazy burst healing for this in both Aurora and PvP. Codex of Magic, I don't even need to talk about this thing. People love this shell. It is absolutely broken. And then the Lighthouse, if you guys haven't seen, I'm going to come out with a turn 2 bruiser guide here pretty soon featuring Fuqiu. And Lighthouse is actually my shell of choice, not on just on her, but it's very good on other units as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I'll talk about different Rengo comps and have all of their gear and stats and all that once again in the IMGUR link below for your future use. Okay, just to talk about this comp real quick, and remember, check the stats, shells, and all that in the description below for all the teams I'm going to have today. But just to cover this team composition, this is just replacing both Kloss and Lily and Valerian in exchange for Fuqiu, Viper, and Sonya. And this is going to be a sort of similar style you'll see in a lot of kind of tank down Rengo comps that are a lot more consistent, but just a lot slower. And that is running Bloodbath and just a lot of healing. That's really just it. You take a hyper carry like Yeli, and you provide a bunch of healing, sustain, and you know, debuffs like the attack break, the speed break, and that kind of just helps you survive while you slowly whittle him down. Now, things like using unique elements will obviously help. This is not optimized. I kind of just threw this in with my PvP units, and it does seem fairly consistent. Now, this is not even 100% though. I only ran a few runs, and I think to optimize it, I would try to shift away from my PvP builds and instead probably run Sonya on something not Amber related, something with more utility like a Gigabyte, just to make sure she cycles faster. And then I think, sorry about this, by the way, this was from a live stream footage and someone sent me an image of something, but don't worry, we're going to get back into it just a sec. You'll see the conclusion of the run. But to recap, Viper, Bloodbath, Fuqiu on Bloodbath, and you just really try to sustain. And even if Yeli ends up dying, right, the Sonya will revive her, and that's really just kind of the failsafe for the team. So this is just one of the example comps if you don't have Lily and you don't have Kloss. Okay, now this next one is my preferred run, and this is what I use 90% of the time, and this is just going to be my speed build. Now, this is probably the most unrelatable build, and I would not try this out, guys, unless your Yeli is, you know, at least very high gear and fully lattice. Now, on top of that, too, I do have 5 dupes, which you will see in the gear below. This is kind of a follow-up to my Inferno, all my Inferno clear guide video, and the major change we made here was Alicorn on the Lily. She does have more speed, but I don't even think that helps very much at all. Just once again, make sure your Kloss goes ahead of the ads, and now that Lily is on the Alicorn as well, we reduce the amount of chances that the ads will, you know, mess our run up by inflicting things like silence. Now, if Yeli still gets silenced, if there's too much burst damage, etc., this run still fails, but I think I've gotten it to above 80% now overall. It's still not 100%, not even close, but for a sub 1 minute clear, 80% I'm extremely happy with, and I'll go ahead and just take those, you know, few occasional -1s here and there. Okay, so I've shown you two of my comps, one of the safer ones with healers and the other one, which is more of an offensive speed run. But some of you guys might be asking, Car, you know, thanks for showing no Lily, no Kloss, but what happens if I don't have, like, let's say Yeli? Okay, well, let's change things up. This time, guys, I want y'all to check out this team, and this comes from my good friend Averse. You might have heard him. He plays so many different competitive games, and I'll have a link to his Twitch channel below, but I believe he was telling me it looks something like this. So this way, you know, it still runs a Kloss. However, you don't need Yeli, you don't need Lily, and a lot of y'all definitely have like access to Diting, Vice, and Ling low. So I think this is one of the best like overall kind of usable compositions. Once again, you do need some pretty good gear, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys that right now. I don't have a clear, I don't have a full run footage of the run, but he did link me the setup, so let's go ahead and check that out right now. All right, guys, I have the IMGUR albums pulled up. Thank you to Averse once again. Check out his link in the description below. He is a good streamer friend of mine, and you should definitely give him a follow. He streams Etheria Restart as well. Now, he did show this, so just to show y'all, this is an average completion time of 2.5 minutes, and the fact that it only uses Kloss, you know, all these 3 units here are given for pretty much free. Vice, you will all have. There's probably no shot that if you're in Inferno, you haven't pulled a Diting. I know one unlucky soul out there, but most y'all should have this. And then the Ling is for free on the 7-day event. As long as you have a Kloss, you can go ahead and give this build a try. Now let's run through this quickly. Unfortunately, I was digging through the notes and I don't have the skill upgrades, but I can make a very good guess. And if I do reach out to him and he gets back to me, I can go ahead and update this. But for now, guys, I'm assuming this is a 515 build, meaning he does have the S1 max because this is very high speed. Now, in my build, I showed y'all my Kloss is around 280. You need to make sure you outspeed the ads. Otherwise, if the ads go before your Kloss and you get silenced, it's pretty much a bricked run. So I think it's 297 is what he's calcing without the Lily speed up. And so you want to go ahead and just get that up there. I believe the Jackal Guard, though, I'm not sure, guys. Let me know in the comments below if the Jackal Guard... no, the Jackal Guard, I think, attacks at the very end, so the speed up will not be present on the first turn. So I think you do have to get to 297. Otherwise, if you do have speed up, just be aware that it's around like the high 270s, the 280 to outspeed the ads. But we have high effect accuracy. I'm pretty sure 200% would be fine. And we're on a Swift Rush, Swift Smite. Once again, the stat line, the actual matrices here are irrelevant. Just make sure you're high speed, so things like Swift Rush and Swift Smite will help out a lot with that. Skill 1 will help out with that, with the prowess upgrades. But if you can get to the speed required, you can skip the skill 1. I think everybody by now, though, if you use Kloss a lot, should have your skill 3 max for the -1 turn cooldown. But overall, not too crazy of a build. I know some of y'all might think this is out of reach. You may need to max out that S1 and start going for Inferno Shells with Swift Rush plus Swift Smite, as well as a high tier Shadow Dash. Now, next up, we have the Vice here. Now, the effect accuracy, I think you should still try to get a little bit higher than Averse's, but if he's clearing it with 176, maybe that's all you need. All I know is that my Vice misses all the time, so I'd like to get this as high as possible. But until we know the boss's effect resist, you know, that's just kind of a theory. But overall, this is just a very generic build. He doesn't even have the Bloodbath maxed out, so that's not mandatory. Once again, using the Swift Rush, Swift Smite, just to have very, very fast speed on the cycling. And he has a lot of Jackal Guards here to get that speed up since he doesn't use Lily. I really like this as a, you know, if players don't have Lily, if you're not using things like Fuqiu or Fuqiu like I showed you in my build, then having access to speed up for your team, especially a 3-turn speed up, is extremely, extremely valuable. Now we have the Ling, and look again, once we have another Jackal Guard here, Shadow Dash passive, and then we're actually stacking the Cure and Evil Guard with the Swift Rush. If you guys can get that, I think that's very nice, especially for a solo healer setup. A lot of extra healing. That's like 37% extra healing, and then we are very, very fast. Now, I don't know the skill ups here. I'm assuming the Vice is maxed out. Remember, the Micro Lattices are free. Just make sure you get them. Well, I say free, but you can buy them throughout the shops. And then the Ling, if I had to guess, is S1 max and probably nothing in S2, S3 if I know Averse. But the speed, the S1 is just very nice for things like Aurora, the 2-turn heal over time, Whale Prayer I think it's called, as well as the extra speed you get once again from the S1 prowess. So 287, get that extra healing if you can. I know this might be hard to get on a Jackal Guard. I don't think the actual Cure and Evil Guard are necessary, but if you get any type of extra healing on top of the speed, then go ahead and go for it. Now, last but not least, we have the Diting here, and taking a quick glance, we have a Fury Keen Eye Fury Edge on a attack percent passive, and I can't remember if Unparalleled is crit chance or crit damage, but for Diting, it's almost irrelevant. Either way, right, it's going to give him more damage here because of the way his passive works. So just get an offensive passive there on S2, or on the second spot, I should say. And then Assault, I believe, is just the percent damage for dark units. Overall, though, it's a very strong Diting, but I actually don't think this is out of reach for most of y'all. The most important thing is just getting that Inferno Shell so you can get the Fury Edge alongside a 12-8-6 setup. Now, I would say, though, you don't have to wait for your perfect Fury Keen Eye Fury Edge, because I'll tell you something. I've never gotten this setup on my White Fang, and I did so much Nico Nana. I bet a Momentum Fury Edge would work just fine, because we are bringing units, things like Kloss and Vice for some extra debuffs. And then, you know what? Honestly, I think even like an Onslaught Fury or an Onslaught Harvest might work too. It just might be a little less effective, so you might have to make up the extra stats somewhere. But try to just get any Inferno Shell with a Fury Edge. I think that's the most important part, because that's just free stats. And then the Inferno White Fang just gives some bonus stats as well. So I think that is it for a versus build. Once again, I think this one is very, very nice to try, because it does have no Yeli, no Lily. And so give this one a shot. All right, and the last two builds I want to talk with you guys about. Let's go ahead and show here. It's pretty much the ones we covered already. However, I'm going to give you guys some different variations. So this is a Viper Sonya build again. However, I'm going to have some stat lines for one of them. And the other one that I want to talk about real quick, shout out to my good friend JJWF. I'll have his link in the description below. He runs a lineup like this with a very tanky Sonya. But one thing that's interesting is that his Yeli is on Law of Silence and on Bloodbath for some even more like survivability. So his run never fails. I think it is the slowest of the bunch, but if you want 100% consistency, go ahead and check out his link in the description below. He's live almost every single day, and just tell him Car sent you. I know he'll be happy, one, to see you, and two, to show you guys the build that I'm talking about with the Law of Silence Bloodbath. Very, very interesting if you guys want to try that out. It is the slowest of the bunch, but as long as it's consistent and safe, I think it's very, very good. Now, the second one I want to tell you about is from Kahnze. This guy's a member of my community as well, and he does run... Sorry, he's always trolling me, but he is a nice and helpful guy. Shout out to the Demigods Guild. But he does have a build lineup for us. He left us some notes. So it's the same thing, the Viper, Sonya, Yeli, and Lily. And he says the Viper's high speed, effect, accuracy. I use Dark Moon Pet for 3-turn attack down. Honestly, I'd probably swap my Viper to this too. I just keep him on my PvP build because I'm lazy. But the speed here is nothing too special, and it's not even on Bloodbath, so those that might be lacking Bloodbath, try a Dark Moon build out for the 3-turn attack down. And in terms of his Sonya, though, he says Sonya's not optimal set, but you definitely need Gigabyte and Bloodbath Honor, since he is running a solo Sonya. Here is a example build. You know, it is similar to the one that Averse was running, with the Cure plus Evil Guard for the extra healing. But instead, he goes for insane amounts of survivability as a failsafe. The same thing with my build that I was showing y'all in case Yeli does die. So shout out to everybody that helped us share the guides. I remember watching someone on YouTube as well. I wish I remembered his name. He was a really cool YouTuber, and he was running things like a solo Rahu or Rahu Holden. But even that one, guys, like I said at the start of the video, he needed like plus 15 Rahu. None of these builds are cheap. They're all going to be very high lattice investment, even on the SRs. So once again, there is no cheap build. If you're looking for a cheap and easy build to do this, it's not possible yet, in my opinion. If you know one, please share with me in the comments or stop by my stream. We can check it out. But other than that, I showed you a lot of different options with units that you may have access to. And just make sure you start building them up, investing, and looking out for these high quality shells especially. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everyone.